Whitney Churchill said, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. It's a bright Monday morning, the start of a new week and a new day to make the rightful decisions. Welcome to West Breakfast. Hashtag, what are you saying? Today we have a lineup of activities for you from our headlines across the globe. And as you know, today, Monday, we talk politics, leadership, and governance. And today will be no short of that. My name is Omoto Shola Shari Maki, and with me are the ladies. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good
Happy New
morning.
Week.
Happy New Week.
Hi, Kiki.
Hello.
Hi. I love how you look. You look so well rested. What's the secret?
Rain.
He said rain. God's beauty, over to you. Good morning. How
How are
you
you?
doing? Oh. How was the guys' weekend, though?
Fine. Grateful to God for everything, as always.
As always. God's
Mine was
beauty.
okay. I was everywhere. I was too busy. So
Oh, sorry about that.
I wasn't even. I didn't rested at all. So yeah.
Love and light. If you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, click the subscribe button now, like and share the link to families and friends. We'll take a quick sharp break right now to return with headlines across the globe. West Breakfast comments in a bit. Glad to have you back from that break. Now let's take a look at the headlines at the pages of today's newspaper. And today we have the Punch newspaper, the Guardian newspaper, and the New York Times. The Punch newspaper here, there are lots of headlines, and the major headline reads, fuel scarcity looms as depot raise petrol price to 720 naira per litre. Below it, filling stations raise petrol price as depot now sells 720 naira per litre, says Ipman. NNPC official storms Lagos Depot, ask marketers to prioritize Abuja. At the top right corner of the Punch newspaper, poverty alleviation, court orders Buhari's minister to explain 729 billion naira disbursement. Below it, the story here says the federal government releases 1.2 trillion naira for capital project. And from Africa, ECOWAS, Senegal, Togo President Suwu, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. At the below corner of the Punch newspaper, varsities boil again as federal government assumes workers protest on Tuesday. And from the metro scene, mother-daughter killed in Ogun gas explosion, 2 hospitalized. And finally, at the pages of the Punch newspaper, flooding, federal government activates state emergency centers, governors orders evacuation. And the story that caught my attention the most, in which you also can go to our different social media platforms, our YouTube, our X, our Instagram, or Facebook to drop the headline that piqued your interest the most. For me, it would be on the looming fuel scarcity as depot raised petrol price to 720 naira per litre. I'll do a quick read of the details. Fuel scarcity is gradually surfacing in Lagos and other parts of the country as private depot owners hiked the ex-depot price of petrol from 630 naira to 720 naira per litre. This came as fuel scarcity deepened in Abuja and adjoining states on Sunday, with some filling stations dispensing PMS as high as 900 naira per litre. Report says a number of filling stations in Lagos, Ogun, and some states have run out of stock as they refuse to buy high-priced fuel from the private depot. And this is like, it's like the seventh time this year that we are dealing fuel scarcity. On Saturday, there was like, I don't know if it's nationwide or maybe Lagos-wide blackout. There was no light for like a couple hours on Saturday. And when we went to X, they said the national grid fell again. And I'm asking, national grid keeps falling. First scarcity keeps going up. I remember that last year, the day President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn into office, that was the first scarcity we've ever faced. And ever since then, up until now, it's been a case of first scarcity days. We literally went from buying fuel at a normal price to about 620, 630, based on the state you are. Right now, it's about 720, and you know what it costs? If there's no fuel in filling stations, there won't be public transport, or there will be a hike in public transport. It's a new week.
Different schemes and it's widespread across different nations. But let me just go straight into the Guardian newspaper, and I'll take just the headline today to make things more little for us. So the headline reads: States may sack 600,000 employees to implement minimum wage. And per year, they have outlined the total internal gross revenue of states, which is in 2018, we had 1.1 trillion, in 2019, 1.56 trillion, and in 2020, 1.21 trillion. And bringing it back to 2022, we had 1.8 trillion. But if we really look at it, we look at the state of how many people are going to get sacked because of this new minimum wage. And we'll be talking about it over and over and over and over again, that the 60,000, the 100,000 is not visible for the public administration, neither is it visible for small-scale businesses. I mean, amongst many other headlines there, I feel like this is like the key headline that got me feeling like if we don't stick to picking a particular minimum wage and moving on straight to our lives, we're going to keep going back and forth, and businesses will keep dying, and people will keep going, out of jobs. That's it for me.
All right, so let me just say no comment on that because there's a whole lot going on. I mean, the electricity, whatever. The reason why we remove fuel subsidy or Tinubu remove fuel subsidy wasn't not for the price of fuel to reduce.
Go down.
Because let's fly. I don't want to have that discussion this morning. All right, so let's start off the newspaper. Have Iran elect reform leader to presidency. Right side of the newspaper has foreign soldiers in a Ukraine unit killed prisoners. Below the picture that has President Biden and Vice President Kamala has crisis. What crisis? President rejects party's bleak outlook. All right, next to that, we have Harris emerge from sidelines as Democrats rethink the ticket. Beneath that, we have conservative intellectual vanguard is putting down new routes. The last headline on the newspaper read, Romance find its own time and place in new bookstores. All right, the headline that piqued my interest is the headline that says, Crisis, what crisis? President rejects party's bleak outlook. All right, so quick one on what that says, right? President Biden, in a recent interview, right, dismissed concerns from within his own party about his ability to continue leading, despite some Democrats feeling worried about his age and poor poll numbers. Biden remains confident and believes that these concerns are exaggerated. He sees the situation as just another challenge to overcome and not a crisis. How confident, however, is causing some distance between him and his party members who are more doubtful. All right, so I remember on Friday, we had a little discussion around the fact that Democrats are still thinking, do we allow him still stay? Yeah. Since looking at the numbers and all of that, it's not looking like he has a chance to win Trump again, right? So this is him now coming out. This is the positivity thing I'm always talking about. So he came out having an interview with, I think, BBC Primetime, and he's like, see, I understand their whole worriness and all of these things, but I believe that we can do this. I believe that we have a chance to Trump and all of this. So this is me just wishing him well. I mean, what I would just say is, as a leader, if you have been able to lead properly over the over the years that you've been on set, I don't see a reason why anybody would want to just kick you out. Do you get what I mean? But I mean, in a situation like this, it's probably that the citizens didn't enjoy his time during the time he was leading. So I don't know. I just wish him well, though.
And this is where we wrap up the headlines across the globe for this morning. Now we go on a quick break to return with our guest. Like as mentioned earlier, Mondays are where we talk about politics, and today will be no short of that. We'll be coming back with a guest to talk about something very crucial in Nigerian politics. Please stay with us to be back in a jiffy.
Etiosa, where we are in. Etiosa's FAC allocation is about 698 million per month. Etiosa's estimated IGR per month is 1.6 billion. 1.6 plus 6, let's just say roughly 2.2 billion. You don't have water, you don't have public schools, primary healthcare is a sham, and you call interlocking tiles an express. Really?
So from a sovereignty perspective, from a, what I call it, a PR perspective, a brand image perspective, not to mention the security challenges, the modes of transportation of presidents is important. So the question is not whether they should have a jet. Yes, they should have a jet. If my president turned up tomorrow on a local flight, I would be embarrassed. So, yes, we should have a private jet. The problem is, as it exists today, we already have a fleet. There were planes before, right? So the question is about needing to purchase a new one, right? And I keep saying that the management of the image of this administration is one that could be better, could be handled better, right? When we want to get things done, they've shown us, this administration has shown us that they will get it done. It took one speech to remove fuel subsidy. It did not take them how long to pass new national anthem, right? So you keep validating the perspective that you are disconnected from the reality of your citizens. Absolutely. And that is a problem.
In case you are just joining us, this is the West Breakfast hashtag. What are you saying? And this is the time where we get to go deep into our topic for today. To join us in today's conversation is Chief Advisor and Head of Youth Strategy and Engagement for a Lagos State governorship campaign in the 2023 general election. He's also a political analyst and he goes by the name Oroluwatomiwa Braithwaite. Good morning to you, Ora. Glad to have you on the show.
Good morning, everyone.
I don't know if I should use the word friend of the house or I should just leave it at that.
Friend of the house, right?
It's good to be back.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
So today we are going to be talking about how relevant traditional leaders are in Nigerian government. Right about now, for a couple of weeks, months, years now, it feels as if the governors are the one electing our traditional leaders, and it feels as if they are now a part of the local government, which we understand that leadership, traditional leaders are quite different from local government leaders or state government leaders or even federal government leaders. So today we want to dive deep into how relevant traditional leaders are in our Nigerian government, because they are like the closest to the people apart from the local government councillors or chairmans and all of that. So now I'd like to ask, what do you think about local government and traditional leaders when it comes to Nigerian politics? How do they influence political decisions in the state level of Nigeria? Because there is no election that will go on in a state that will not go through their table. And at times, they oftentimes say, okay, vote for this person. Okay, this is the person we want. So in a way, they're influencing the choices of the people of that state, of that local government. So what do you think about local government, traditional leaders, rather, my bad, influencing the thought of citizens of a state or residents of a state?
So, ideally, traditional rulers are meant to be neutral. So they're not meant to have any favorite person or governor or whatever the case may be. But like you said, governors have done a thing where they've started to implement the traditional ruler that they want in power. And now we've seen how they're even able to sack them if they don't really like them. Like what we're even seeing in Kano now.
Yeah.
First, Sanusi was disposed now. I think his name is Bayero.
Yes.
Also now is disposed because the new governor has come into power. That can't be, because then that is taking away their independence. But like you said, they're supposed to be the people that are close to the actual people and hearing their issues and stuff, even for security reasons, because they're able to gather information and let the governors or the local government chairmen know what the people need. So they're very, very important in politics, but at the same time, they're meant to be like a standalone, independent kind of person. And you have in different countries where, like in the UK, the royal family doesn't even get involved in politics. But at the same time, they're also you see the prime ministers always go to them and all, just as a show of respect and all that. So in Nigeria, I think we have a mix of both. But the most important thing is for the traditional rulers to be independent.
Well, for somebody like me that has also contested in elections before, I find it very... State House of Assembly, that's in 2019. But I find it very disturbing that most of the time when we go ahead during campaigns to meet traditional leaders to sort of talk about our policies, what we want to do for the community, looking at how close they are to the community and the kind of influence that they have, we see situations where they try to enforce, or in some cases, the kind of things that you should bring to a traditional leader. They start to give you a long list of what you should bring. Secondly, you already know that they have this type of political bias. So when you are going, it almost feels like you are talking. When you are done, you pack your bags and go. But how, you mentioned that they should be neutral, but does it change the fact that they are still very much part of the local government elections, especially maybe on the national and maybe general elections, they might not have that much effect, but the local government elections, they have such a strong point that it makes it impossible for anybody to become anything without some sort of influence, from the traditional leaders. So how does this change from they should be neutral to what we have now, that they are very partisan with Nigerian politics? How do we change that?
That's a tough question. So I think it's an individual thing, to be honest, because at the same time, every traditional ruler is going to have who they prefer. And that's why people will be like, okay, even though they're maybe partisan or whatever, it's your duty to be able to convince them that you're the right person for the people or whatever. But in many cases, you just see that it's the people in power or the people that can give them the most gifts and most money or whatever that will now have their favor and eventually win. Because if you get the traditional rulers on your side, eventually you're also going to get the people on your side because they're so influential. Yeah. So you're meant to, like you said, you're meant to be neutral, but there's no how that you're going to actually be neutral, because you're going to have a free, and even if it's like in public, you're going to be, oh yeah, I don't favor anybody, but behind closed doors, you're going to tell your people who you prefer. You know, and that's eventually what's going to happen, and whoever is going to win is going to win.
All right, so considering that, I mean, Nigeria history has it that at some point in our lives, we had more, the monarchy system of government was a bit more important, or they were given more ears then than now that nobody really cares about. I'm just hearing this for the first time, that the local government kind of seek validation or whatever. I mean, but honestly, not many people even know that, right? Not many people know that these people literally even have a say, because the way they make you feel, it's more like they just have probably a say within their jurisdiction. Do you get what I'm saying? So now, how do we make it very effective? Because, I mean, for future purpose, look at what the presidential system is really doing to us, where one person just goes into seat and does what he like. So, I mean, but I feel like when you have the monarchy system of government, there's this togetherness, there's this, how do I put that up? Number one, they're close to the people, right? So I feel like they understand the people more than whoever that is on seat. So how do you think we can make it more effective, or which system do you think should even come to play? Looking at the what's going on with the presidential system.
Yeah, I think most importantly, I think what would stop all this is if, you know, traditional rulers, ideally they're meant to, as they've been put on the throne, they're meant to stay there till they die.
Yeah.
So if that is actually what is going on, and you can't actually remove a traditional ruler, I feel like they will have more power and independence to know, okay, I don't have to vote for this, or I don't have to push for this candidate, because regardless, I'm still going to be in power. But if they have this in the back of their mind, because every traditional ruler is going to have it in the back of their mind that this governor can take me out of my throne, which shouldn't be the case. You should always be able to be an Oba or whatever, and stay like that till you die. So if we can change that, I think that would be the beginning of the end.
Okay. The big question now, Orolua, the big question is, Orolua Tomiwa, my bad. The big question is, how do we effect this change? Because it seems our traditional leaders are believed to be mini gods. In fact, in some of the Oriki, there's a way they call them, okay. But it was in the news. In my state, one of our local governments, our king was kidnapped. Some in Ado-Ekiti, a king was...
is even better. In Ado-Ekiti, yeah, that's what I want to even hear you to say.
Picked in his palace and
Yes.
shot to death. And I was
Yes.
wondering, growing up, I used to see kings as second to God, you know, well fortified and all of that. But right now, they're just, some of them are even collecting stipend or salaries from these governors. So if I am paying you, in a way, I have a right to whatever you're doing. So how can we effect this change? They are traditional leaders. Yes, when it's not, they are A-list kings. They are the likes of Onyo of Ife, the likes of Overame of Benin. Am I correct? Yes. And some other top leaders like that. But even in this, I'm trying to remember the state, they even had issues trying to pick their king. One is saying because he does not stay in Nigeria, he stays out of the country, he cannot. And there is a lot of back and forth. How can we effect this change?
I think there was even one that they said that he went into the palace and they started stealing stuff.
Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
that should be also be in
thought that's-
Ado-Ekiti,
it should
because
be Ado-Ekiti,
about
yes.
2-3 persons were actually killed.
That's supposed to be a sacred place.
Do you understand?
So I think with that, because there has to be a balance, because you say, okay, traditional areas need to be protected, and you have like the A-list ones where you see the security that is a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to also know that they also have to be reachable to the people. Like people need to be able to reach them and sit down with them and talk to them and tell them their issues. So at the same time, they need to be reachable, but also very much protected, because like you said, it can't be a situation where the traditional rulers aren't even safe. Because like you said, it could also be a hit by a politician that doesn't even like them. They just get rid of this person.
Right.
So their safety is actually very important to also their independence and them not fearing for their lives. And to be fair, like a lot of traditional rulers have security, but it just depends.
By security, what do you mean? Do you mean the spiritual security
No,
or
no, I
the
mean
guards?
I mean physical.
Security issues.
I think that one of the reasons why a lot of palaces or sacred places are being tampered with is also because of the kind of evolution of religion that we have
it's taking
had.
place. I
You know,
agree.
we now believe that there's a God that makes the judgment. So we have to wait for, you know, God's judgment. And if that doesn't come, we move on. But back in the days where Ogun and everything shall be called upon if you make any attempts, you know, to get into the palace. So first of all, I think that they should revisit the things that make the palace sacred. That's number one. Number two, they should now also think inwards that why am I not safe? It might be that sometimes it's the decisions that I've made politically, you know, the kind of things I've involved myself in politically. Sometimes they even go as far as having like a cult group or a kind of this thing. That's what determines who gets into the power. And then there's another powerful cult group that says, I deserve it. And that's what actually happens when they start going into the palaces and start kidnapping kings, as we should put it. Kings.
Hey.
Because you know, even to become, in some traditions, to become an Oba or a king, you have to go through some rituals.
Yeah.
Then that will now determine whether you can be one, or even to become, I think, an Otumba, you still have to go through
Yes.
some things. But I think the most important thing is, obviously, that means people are losing respect of the throne. They're not as scared as they used to be. Why? What's causing that? And you know, the traditional rulers are also our culture. You know, what we used to be, and you know, we're trying to preserve that. So I feel like as years are going by, people are losing respect for the throne. Like you said, back in the days, nobody would dare go into the palace and steal anything. So what is causing people to not have fear of kings, or you know, or stealing in a palace, or whatever the case may be? So that's another issue to now speak on. That why are people losing respect of the throne? You know.
Okay, so I would like to ask here, just for clarification, what's really the job of these traditional leaders? And I mean, like, I understand the whole. I was having a banter with someone, and the person was like, "Oh, one key reasons why they feel like these traditional leaders need to be there is so that we have somebody that can always teach us our culture, the tradition. But even the culture and the tradition is not even well passed, to be honest. It's not well passed. There are many of us that cannot even speak our language. Let's even start from there, right? So, no, I mean, let's try shake some table. So, how do we know what roles these persons play in Nigeria, and what other role do you think? I mean, now I'm asking, what other role do you think these people need to be in for the betterment of Nigeria?
So, like you said, you're right. There's a worrying thing where we're actually losing our tradition and our language as generations are going on, because you find a lot of times where not only are people even trying to leave Nigeria, but in houses we don't even speak our mother tongue. You know, most people are speaking English in homes, which then leads to their children not even understanding. And if your children don't understand the language, then their children won't even know a word. So that's one issue. But I think traditional rulers, they're meant to be almost a gateway to the politicians, because the people are meant to be able to come to them and tell them their issues and their problems, and the traditional rulers are supposed to tell the governors or whatever, our people need this, our people need that. And also in their community, they're meant to also be able to make change on their own and do things for their people and listen to their people's issues. So, like I said before, they're supposed to be able to be reachable, and people are meant to be able to come to them and tell them their issues and hear them out. So they're actually very important in our country. It's just the way they're used right now is not good.
Do you think it's the way they are used or the way they present themselves? Yes, I used to listen to a life coach, like I do call the person. He says, you'll be the one to determine how you want to be addressed. If you look soft on the outside, everybody coming to you will treat you as a common person. But if you respect yourself on the outside, you have this high self-esteem, you will not be addressed as a commoner. Now, last week, we talked about local government autonomy. Let's say today we are talking about traditional leaders' autonomy. Traditional leaders right now, especially the maybe B list or C list or those in some parts of Lagos, they are now involved in land grabbing. They now have boys that go to collect money from them. You cannot build
Money.
house in peace anymore in some parts of Lagos. They'll be there, they have boys that work for them. They'll collect money for the land, they'll collect money for roofing, they'll collect money for painting, they'll collect money for every
Everything.
damn thing. And I am wondering, yes, we know there's not like a constitution for traditional leaders to rule their local government, their environment, or the place they are colonizing or they are
Their
ruling over.
jurisdiction.
Yeah, thank you very much, their jurisdiction. But what do we expect from them? Because if you pay yourself, if me as a person, I'm seeing you as, oh, this man is a land grabber. All he does is to grab lands or collect or this thing or that. I will not respect how much more the governor of a state.
So that one is not an individual thing because they're doing what they shouldn't do, but that's just them as an individual. But like you said, the A-list kings are the ones where like even the governors have to respect them because of the kind of influence they have and the money. Like you said, only Ofife, even though he's very young, like he has a lot of power and money. So that already has respect from everybody. So that
Are you saying that means it cannot be a part of land grabbing?
No, of course.
Okay, so there's an example.
That's like I said, that's an individual thing. Like you can't really stop it's like almost about corruption and stealing.
Yeah.
It's a mentality, right? No matter whether you're poor or rich, whether you get into power, it doesn't being rich or being poor, it doesn't determine whether you're going to steal or not. So that one is a mentality thing. But what I'm saying is that if the traditional rulers, like you said, respect themselves and want to be addressed in a manner where they think they deserve to be, then, like you said, all these things that you're saying won't happen and they won't do all these things. But I think it's harder for the C-list ones to stay independent because I think they're so dependent on the people in power to either give them money or allow them to stay in power. But like you said, they need that autonomy. And if they don't have that autonomy, they cannot function as traditional rulers properly.
Thank you very much, Aura. We have to go on a quick break. Right now. When we return, we'll be going deeper into the topic, how relevant are traditional leaders in Nigeria's governance? Please note that your comments and observations, your comments are well received on our different social media platforms. Go to that social media platform on YouTube, X, Instagram, or Facebook. Pass that comments down. We'll do well to read it out when we're back. We'll be back right after this break. If you are just joining us, this is West Breakfast, hashtag what are you saying? And we are still having a conversation with Oluwatomiwa Braithwaite, and we are talking about how relevant traditional leaders are in Nigerian governance. And before I went to that short break, I was talking about the autonomy, which he quite answered. I saw something online. Yes, in the past, some traditional leaders have influenced the thought of choosing leaders, like the Sultan of Sokoto, Emir of Kano, Oba of Lagos, Obi of Onitsha, among others. But do you think they are doing enough? You said something the other time that they should be neutral. If they are neutral, it means they don't support APC, they don't belong to PDP either. They are not collecting money or bags of rice or monthly allowance from APC or from PDP. should it be like in the constitution of a state that, okay, there should be a certain amount of money that should be going to the obas? Because they no longer collect owori like they do in the olden days, or ishakole. Apologies to non-Yoruba speakers. I don't know the best way to describe
all
it.
taxes
Like
now.
taxes,
Yeah, taxes.
yes. They no longer collect taxes, which then was like a major means of their of survival for them. But right now they are just kings. Most of them where they stay is not as good. I saw a king on TikTok. Maybe yeah, I saw one on TikTok. What is this? His palace was not looking. It was using like carpets. Like I was surprised, right? So do you think? Or what should be their means of income, their source of livelihood? Do they depend on God? Because if they depend on governor, I mean individual governor, there's no how they will not play to their game.
Maybe. I thought they used to have like allocation given to them before. But if they don't, I think it's very important that they get allocated an amount of money to even help their area, because at the same time they need to also, like you said, to also be independent. They need to have financial independence, because if they're depending on the governor or local government chairmen, then they're obviously not going to be neutral. And like I said, when I was talking about when politicians go and start campaigning and stuff, a lot of times it's, okay, who can give the Oba or the king the most? And then that may now influence who the Oba decides he wants to support or not. But like I said, the most important thing, first of all, is that they are not, that once you're a king to death. If we first hit that one off, that no governor can come and say, oh, I don't like you, so yeah. That one is very important. Once we've sorted that one out, we won't be having issues like we're having in Kano, where we don't even know who's emir and who's not. Police is saying they don't accept Sanusi. The governor is saying that he does not want the other guy. So it's so unnecessary. Like they're turning it into something political, which it shouldn't be. Once it becomes political, that's just the end, because then like you're even losing focus of what they should be. Now it's a fight between who is emir, who is not emir, who wants to be emir, who does not want to be emir. So if we can, they just need to be fully independent, both financially and not have anything in the back of their mind where they're like, oh, if I don't do this now, the governor will remove me. If I do this, I don't know if the governor will like this. If we can sort that out, then I think everything is okay, because, man, what it is now is the governors right now have more power than the traditional rulers, because now they can take and remove. Before, we used to have where traditional rulers, if they don't like the governor, next election, that governor is gone.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now, I don't even know if we have any, except maybe for the Onyo Ife. But, yeah, if we can get back the power that they once had, then, yeah, I think we'll be good.
Let me put it, we've been sort of in some way blaming the governors for their influence on traditional leaders, but I also want to put it that there are some times where, there's hierarchy, there's family lineage and things, but there are certain people, just because they're also very involved in politics and they know the governor or something, they try to influence the governor to put them in that position. It's like a win-win situation for them. And this has happened in so many, countries, so many states, so many local governments now, especially, where you see situations where they just announce a particular Oba, the country scatters, the local government scatters for a bit of weeks, and then that's the person that ends up becoming whatever the person becomes. So how should, traditional leaders respect themselves enough to say that, no, it's true, respect themselves enough to say that, yes, I know that I can beat this family to become something. It's greed. I see it as greed, that, okay, since everything is now removable, without this person dying, if I don't want to wish this person dead or go traditionally to kill this person, I'll do it politically. And it's even in situations whereby when they want to maybe elect a new king, they submit a list of names to the governor for the high and mighty governor to now say, I choose you, and pick the one and say it's you I choose. Meanwhile, that particular person that wants to become that without his turn would have gone behind closed doors, promise all the possible things on this earth. I'll give you 6 million Nigerians if that's what you need, you know, to win an election. So how do how do you think traditional leaders should respect themselves enough to know that I am a person, you understand, and what I do in my local government should, you know, indirectly or directly determine the how would I put it, the sustainability of my country, of my state,
Yes.
or of my local government, and also the respect of the palace.
You know, I think it's an image of the country, to be honest, because now you just see them now